Okay, today we're replacing the door lock actuator on this Honda Ridgeline. This is an '07 Ridgeline. These would be the same since from '06 to 14 on the Ridgeline, and probably similar years on Odysseys, Accords, CRVs, etc. in the 2000s, early 2000s to more recently, probably 2015 or so. I don't know exactly. Basically, the door lock's not working. It's the actuator, I believe, is the problem. So basically, the driver's side door will not move up and down with the button or with the power door lock switch. This is the actuator. It's a Dorman product. There's several manufacturers. They're quite inexpensive, probably under $20 for this. It's a common issue. They do fail and stop moving the door lock around. Okay, so the first step is to get the door panel off. So there's a little tray under the armrest here. You can just dig into the side. Be careful not to scratch it. Get a little screwdriver in there and pop that little tray up, little trim piece. Behind that trim piece there's a Phillips screw. That's one of the screws that's holding the door panel to the door. So it's just a little self-tapping Phillips screw. Comes right out. Twist that out with your screwdriver. Behind the door handle here there's another little trim piece that pries out. There's a little slot there you can stick a screwdriver in. Pop it out, and then when it's out of the way, there's 3 more screws behind here. These are a hex head screw, so you need a little socket. I think they're 6mm, I believe. So there's 3 more screws holding the door handle in. So you twist those out, and once those are out, the door handle here will pop out. A little plastic piece will come out, and there's your cable. There's your door open cable. There's these little retaining clips that you just pry up on to move the retainer out of the way, and once you get that out of the way like that, put it to the side, you can pop the door cable out of it, little circular hole there that it's sitting in. All the cables in this door kind of work the same way. They just sit in this little circular piece like that, pops out, and then this green plastic piece just fits in into the side of this little plastic trim piece with friction. So just slide it out. Now behind that, there's 3 more screws. These are Phillips screws again. So 3 more screws holding the door panel to the door. Remove those 3 Phillips screws. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, once those 3 screws are out, there's one more little trim piece here. This little mirror bolt cover. This is how you take the mirror off if you ever have to remove your mirror. Just pull out on this cover. It's a plastic cover just held in by clips. And there's some bolts there to remove your mirror. You need to get this piece of plastic out of the way. It helps to, it's kind of in the way of the door panel if you don't take it out. Okay, at this point, there are clips holding the door in along the sides and along the bottom of the door, plastic clips. I put some tape here so I don't mar up my paint, scratch the paint, as I pry out around the edges of the door, trying to pop the clips off. Hopefully you don't break too many of them as you do this. They are somewhat fragile. But basically you just have to keep pulling and prying around the perimeter of the door, the sides and the bottom, and you'll feel and hear the clips pop off. Once it's loose, you really just lift out and up on the door panel and it'll come out of the top channel there and pop off. There are 4 electrical plugs down here that need to come out to remove the door panel. They just have little tabs on the side of them. Push the tab and pull the electrical out. Then there's this vapor barrier piece of plastic that you need to pull to the side. I ended up ripping mine. If you're careful, you can get it out without ripping it. I ended up ripping mine. I'll have to tape it later. This will give access. There's the plugs. So there's these little tabs I was talking about. You just push in the tab on the side of the plug. and pull out on the plug. All these little Honda plugs work the same way. There's 4 plugs, they're all different. You can't mix them up. Okay, back in here is where the actuator is. It's very difficult to show on camera. It's back near the latch. We'll show that in a minute. The removal piece. Let's get that vapor barrier, kind of pull it out of the way. It can be stuck on later. This sticky stuff is probably still good, or you could just use some tape, some duct tape, or some packing tape or something. This is the door track that you need to loosen this bottom bolt to loosen the door track. You take that bolt right out, you'll be able to move the door track around and give yourself clearance to be able to reach in there and pull the actuator out. The window has to be up for all of this, by the way, as well. Okay, there's 3 Phillips screws holding the whole kind of assembly that has the actuator attached to it in. These are very tight. Be careful if you have a socket, a Phillips socket, and some leverage like a ratchet and a socket. That's probably the way to go, because these can be very tight and you do not want to strip these screws. Okay, with those screws out, and there's 2 cables attached as well that you need to take off, you can pull the whole assembly out. Now that's the whole assembly that the actuator is attached to, so we need to remove the actuator. Basically what we have that I wasn't able to show on camera is 2 cables, kind of, that look similar to the other cable that we've already seen, that work the same way. They have that little circular piece and little retaining clips. There's one there at the top, you can see. You have to reach in and pop that little retainer off and pop the clip out. There's one on the top there, and then there's another one on the bottom here that you have to be able to manipulate your hands in there somehow, or a screwdriver, and pop those off. I was just able to move the thing around until I saw it and was able to get a screwdriver and push the retainer off and then pull the cable out. Very difficult to show on camera, but there's 2 cables you have to remove basically. Okay, there's also 2 electrical plugs that come out there at the top. Okay, now we're getting close to being able to remove the actuator. There's 1 Phillips screw here that comes out that holds on the plastic cover. Now once you get that screw out, there's this plastic cover piece here. This whole piece here is all one piece, so you want to push it, and it takes some prying. So you need to get your screwdriver in there, okay, and kind of pry it up everywhere. There's actually even a couple little clips. You got to kind of work it around the whole edge and kind of going out toward the cables here. You push, push, push. Eventually, with a bunch of prying, it's a bit tight, but eventually you'll get this whole cover piece to come up like that, okay, and you get it sort of taken away from the main body. Now once you do that, you're going to start to get access to it's this piece here, right here. That's the piece we're replacing. That's the actuator. Now there's a screw here, Phillips screw, and another cable to take off. So we take that screw out, and then we'll pull this cable off. Again, it's the same type of cable clip as all the other ones. This little retainer kind of comes off toward the side. We'll get a little screwdriver, and then the cable pops out. That screw comes off. Then our part that we're replacing comes off here. And again, that's the new part there that's going to go in place of the old one. So that's the part we're changing. Okay, here's the new one. So it goes in here, it just kind of sits here. This little plastic arm here goes in here. Kind of push it on, and then the screw will go back in this hole here, and we'll put the cable back on. It's just the same way as the old one came out. Okay, now we've tucked that in here. You can see how tight it is in here. The white thing is tucked back in here. We'll connect the 2 bars. Again, it's very hard to see, but the two levers, the 2 these little guys that are up in there, there's two of them, which you can see. I mean, one's here. You can see it here, but very difficult to demonstrate putting it on, but it's the two levers that go on. Okay. We've got it back in with our 3 screws here. 1, 2, 3. And then the next step will be to put the electrical plugs back in. 2 electrical plugs. Again, there and there. Put those plugs back in. Then we'll put the door panel back on. Okay, this little hole here was covered with tape. I was able to get a screwdriver in there and clip that top clip on through there. So we got that on. We'll tighten up our window track back up again. And then really it's a matter of putting the door panel back on and testing our actuator. Okay, now we'll put the door panel back on. Again, just those 4 electrical connectors and clip it back on, put the screws back in. Just the reversal. This is the easy part. Okay, it's all back together. It was the issue. You can see now the key. See, it is going up and down. That actuator is a common thing. This has fixed it. So it's not really a fun job. It's a lot of kind of finicky work. The door panel getting off is easy. Relatively easy, but it's all the digging in here and getting the thing out and then changing it over that's a bit difficult. So it's doable, but it's not super easy. So anyway, that's how you do this door actuator on a Honda Ridgeline. Similar on Odysseys and Accords and everything else in the 2000s. You know, this is an 07 Ridgeline, but any of those 2000, 2001 to, oh, I don't know, probably more modern Ridgeline, Odyssey, Accord, CRV, everything is quite similar, I believe. You just have to go slow and have some patience because it's not a fun job. That's how you do it, and thanks for watching.